with the four-leaf clover on my breast, and the green and white upon my chest. It's such a joy for us to see, for they play football the Celtic way, for they play football the Celtic way, for they play football the Celtic way, 'cause they play football the Celtic way.
Good evening and welcome to your Wednesday Four-Leaf Clover podcast. It's great to have you on board. We're still struggling through this pre-season, but we've got some Celtic content to go through as ever. We've also got our Last Man Standing segment, and it is the number 7 jersey tonight, but we're going old school. So it's the right midfielders and the right wingers. Our Henrik will not be getting the jersey this evening, but I'm sure there'll be one available for him further down the line. Patrick, how are you doing, sir?
Hi, all good, Scott. Busy week so far, but getting home tonight, rushing home to get onto the pod. Couldn't wait. Look forward to this as always. It's a nice wee icebreaker in the middle of the week for you. Helps to get the weekend as well. So, all good here, Scott.
And not only do we have the Baldy trucker, we have the Bucky trucker as well now, Andy. I think he's starting to steal your pattern, mate. How's it going, sir?
No bad, mate. I just want to, I seen Chris Fraser on the chat there. I just want to say to Chris, check your Twitter messages, mate, because I've sent you a message, so if you check on that. I'm all right. Busy week. I'm absolutely shattered, to be honest with you. I can't wait for Friday. So, I think it's... I think the weather's meant to be nice at the weekend, so I might get a wee bit. I've got a wee bit of work to do in the garden, to be quite honest with you, over the weekend. But I only soak in the sunshine.
Good man. I'm certainly soaking it in over here at the minute, Kaiser. I'm on holiday for the sort of. I have been for the sort of past 9 days. Been enjoying the sunshine. How are you getting on, sir?
Living my best life, legends. Thanks for having us again, guys, on the pod. Everybody in chat as well. Thanks for being here, legends. I just escaped my son's prom. His primary 7 leavers prom. I rolled out early, ran across the road, get in for the pod. Just live and breathe Celtic. That's what we're all about.
Aye, bang on. So, like I said, we're going to get on to the Last Man Standing segment at the end of the podcast once we've spoke all things Celtic. But let's just have a quick recap of the team that we have picked for you so far, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing a 4-2-3-1 formation, the way Celtic play just now, with the 2 wingers, the number 10, 2 sitting midfielders. So Lenny got the number 6 jersey on our last podcast. Virgil van Dijk got the number 5 jersey. Feed the Bear, Roy Aitken got the number 4. KT got the number 3. Danny McGrain got the number 2. And Artur Boric, the holy goalie, got the number 1. So, to the right-hand side of our Lenny there will be the number 7 jersey this evening. Like I said, we're going old school with the numbers. So we've got that to look forward to later on. So, what has been happening Celtic-wise then? So, Paddy, first up for us this evening is this guy, Paulo Bernardo. He's written his name into the record books with Portugal under-21s at the European Championships, becoming the most capped player in the history of the national youth setup. I'm missing a couple of slides here, I've just noticed. Now, with the milestone surpassed, Bernardo stands alone as the most experienced player in the history of Portugal's under-21 side. His performances throughout the group stages have underlined why he's held in such high regard back home in the youth setup. Portugal, unbeaten and brimming with confidence, are among the favourites heading into the knockout stages. And Bernardo, with the captain's armband, could be key in the country's pursuit of the trophy. It's a proud moment for both player and club, with Brendan Rodgers likely keeping a close eye on the midfielder's development. The more big match experience Bernardo gains on the international stage, the more Celtic stand to benefit once he returns to Celtic. So, Paddy, I mean, what do you make of that? He's 24 years old now. He's the record holder for the under-21s, let me add. But do you see this benefiting Celtic in the long run? And do you think he's got a massive part to play in the season coming up?
It's a breakout season for him, Scott. It has to be. You know, we've seen flashes of his potential and flashes of what he can do. But this season for me will be all about Paulo Bernardo, you know, trying to make himself a regular first team pick. He's been on the fringes of things so far, but now's the time for him to step up. You know, and along with Arne Engels, you know, I think this season is massive for the both of them. You know, it's a fantastic honour for the lad, and it's a fantastic boost for the club as well. When you think of some of the internationals who progressed through that under-21 setup with Portugal and are now plying their trade all over Europe and playing in the Portuguese national squad, you know, he's in real good company when you look at some of the names that have been in that lineup. You know, the Portuguese setup, Scott's one of the best in Europe. Fantastic setup by all accounts, and facilities. You know, the coaching staff. You know, and this can only benefit Celtic. There's absolutely no doubt about that. This is the guy getting much needed minutes with quality players. You know, and he's playing against quality opposition as well. So it's a fantastic boost for the player, but it's a great bonus for Celtic as well. But definitely, you know, looking at the season stretching out ahead of us again, you know, we're looking at, you know, the beginning of August again, and the grind will start again right through until May next year. It's an absolutely massive season for the likes of Paulo Bernardo. This is the time that he needs to stand up and stamp his authority and stamp his class on this Celtic squad, because you know, there comes a time in every player's career where sometimes it becomes your time, and it's definitely Paulo Bernardo's time now at the minute. We've seen enough of him so far. We've seen what he can do. We've seen his potential, and it's time for him now to become a leader in that Celtic dressing room.
Aye, spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on. Now, Andy, I know you're probably his biggest fan on the podcast. You're a very big fan of Bernardo. We're going to get into it later. It looks like the media in Scotland were trying to get rid of Rio Hatate from January till now. They've tried their very best, but it looks like he's going to be staying, which we'll all get into later on. Is that bad news for Bernardo, the way Hatate finished the season, especially? Or do you see Paulo Bernardo finally stepping up now and challenging Hatate and Engels for one of their jerseys?
He's going to have to step up. Listen, if Hatate was to leave, Celtic are just going to replace him with somebody else, maybe somebody better than Hatate. So it was always going to be up against it whether Hatate stayed or good, just stayed or went. That's up to him to really put his foot down and claim that place. My only concern is, when you're talking about the under-21s, is the amount of times he's spent and appearances he's spent at that level and not quite kind of jumped up. I understand the Portugal team's really talented, and you know it's very difficult to get into. He's the captain of the under-21s. He's a first team player at Celtic, no a starter all the time, but you know he's got Champions League experience. He's got experience of winning trophies and a winning team. He's got the pressure of having to win every single game that he plays. So he obviously knows how to handle pressure. I'd like to see him kind of take that step up in the Portugal team if possible. I think then we will see the benefit of that, because it's going to be very hard if you're a starter for your national team, especially in Portugal. It's going to be very hard to keep you at the team, but it's up to him. It's up to him to put in the performances that gives Brendan the decision that he can't deny him a starting place. So it's entirely up to him. I'm looking forward to a season because we're obviously looking for Engels to improve as well. We're thinking that he's going to really improve this season as well. So I think it's going to be interesting on top of the other faces that are going to come in as well. But it's as much as I like Bernardo, he needs to get his finger out a wee bit, to be quite honest with you. You know, that this is his turn to show what he can do.
Aye, Kaiser, Andy's made a great point there. You know, he is sort of doing it at the international stage on the under-21 level, so he's playing at I would say a high level just now in the European Championships and stuff like that, and it's a chance for him to progress and show how really good he is. But as Andy said, he is showcasing at that level. He's showcasing in Europe as well for us. he's not really shown it in the SPFL. Is that where you feel he needs to step up his game as well?
I think it's a question of him getting game time and getting on the park, forcing his way into the squad. Same with the Portugal national team. Obviously, he's highly regarded. They love him at under 21 level. He is a bit older than 21. I know that. He's been there for a few years extra. But inevitably, the quality of the players surrounding him, these players coming through as well, getting to see Bernardo, the winning mentality that's ingrained in Bernardo from Celtic, and he'll be talking about these great European nights and how it feels to be a Celtic player. To all these young Portuguese talents, we should definitely be getting in about them and getting them over and getting them in about Celtic Football Club. Like I says, if he steps it up and ups his game in the league, I don't think it matters whether Hatate stays or doesn't stay. Bernardo, fantastic at progressing the ball through running. Doesn't really pass the ball forward much. He always seems to run it forward. Fantastic at it. Got a good shot on him. Good range of skills. A really, really good player. Like Andy and Paddy says, just looking for him to make the step up and really just force that little bit extra. I did see the reports of Hatate saying when your career's over, the only thing you have to look back on is the championships you've won, the medals and trophies. And a footballer's career is so short. I'm sure he's looking at his trophy case right now and loving life at Celtic. And also, I was informed and was told that all three Japanese players at the club were handed sort of a notice by the national manager telling them that he was only going to be selecting players from top 5 league sides and across Europe, across top 5 European leagues. So
we've seen how that worked out.
That's what I was just about to say, Scotty. So I think Kyogo struck on that and went to French league in hope of getting national selection. And I think Maeda and Hatate have took a long, hard look at that and thought to themselves, maybe not be so quick to jump ship. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. And just because you're playing in a top 5 league doesn't mean you're an automatic pick, or Kyogo would be the first name on the team sheet for following the national manager's instructions. So I'm looking forward to see how Bernardo progresses. Definitely a very big season for him. And there's that many games throughout this season. He's going to get his chances. He's a quality player. And for $3.5 million, absolute quality move.
Aye, bang on, lads. Great points there, by the way. So I'm going to move on now to a former coach of ours from over your neck of the woods, Paddy. So don't bash him too much, remember. I'm going to get on that boat soon. So Damien Duff has been in the news. The 25-26 campaign officially got underway today with the first round draws for all the European competitions. And already there's been some major box office fixtures. That's because the first round qualifying tie for the Champions League pits the North of Ireland champions Linfield against Republic of Ireland champions Shelbourne. And just happening to take charge of the two teams are Rangers hero David Healy, now of Linfield, and former Celtic first team coach Damien Duff at Shelbourne. They're two massive characters, and there was an excitement prior to the draw. As everyone knew, there was a 20% chance of the two teams meeting. Linfield were seeded in the Group 2 of the draw, while Shelbourne were unseeded, and the UEFA draw has duly obliged. The first leg in Dublin on the 9th of July, and the second in Belfast on the 15th, 16th of July. The two teams met in the final of the inaugural Setanta Cup competition between the teams from the north and the south, with Linfield running out 2-0 winners. Both teams, of course, would still have a long way to go to reach the league phase in the Champions League path, which Celtic themselves will enter in the playoff round. But it's a match, especially up your neck of the woods, Patrick, will gather huge interest, I'm sure. A League and League Cup double winner in his time with the Gers, Healy has been linked with various managers' jobs in Scotland, and most recently Dundee, as we alluded to on the last podcast. The Dark Blues were granted permission from Linfield to speak to the ex-Rangers and Northern Ireland striker, but that role went to Stephen Presley instead, leaving the 4-time Northern Irish Manager of the Year at Windsor Park. You must be shite if Stephen Presley gets a job, I hear you, Christ. Former Chelsea, Newcastle and Republic of Ireland winger Duff has been a breath of fresh air since leaving a first-team coaching job with the Hoops to embark on his first manager's job at Shelbourne. They clinched the FIA Premier League title in 2024 and are desperate to emulate, or even better, the European achievements of Shamrock Rovers, who performed with credit in the conference phase last season. Paddy, is that getting the juices flowing, this fixture, across the water?
It will do, Scott. Absolutely no doubt about that. It's been a topic of conversation already amongst quite a lot of us. The unfortunate thing is Shelbourne aren't exactly firing on all cylinders at the minute. As you know, the League of Ireland here we play in the summer. We play the summer football. So Shamrock Rovers, they're well ahead at the top. They appear to be running away with this league already, and Shelbourne find themselves languishing down on 5th place, 12 points behind the leaders. So it's going to take some effort for them. From what I can gather from that other mob, they seem very, very confident at the minute. They seem very, very confident about the tie with Shelbourne. So I'm pretty sure the people of Dublin and other areas in that neck, I'm sure they can't wait for that rabble to come down there. I'm sure they're really looking forward to that, seeing them. But listen, it's one of those ones. It's going to be a massive tie over the two legs, and you know Shelbourne will bring a big, massive travelling support up to Windsor Park for the leg in Belfast. It's difficult, Scott. You know, David Healy's not. You know, somebody actually said it there, just exactly what I was feeling. You know, he's one of these guys. I never liked him anyway, but then he went and signed for Rangers, which was just so. Just Northern Ireland wouldn't really be a subject close to many of our hearts, really. You know, we all know, we're all aware of what goes on at Windsor Park, and why there's very, very few people of the opposite religion go near it for very obvious reasons. And Healy just revelled in that. You know what I mean? So. Listen, it's a tough one. You know, Damien Duff had Shelbourne last year. They were a fantastic side to watch. I saw a few of their games in the run into the championship. You know, to wrestle the title away in 2024. You know, it was such an achievement for them. Fantastic to win the League of Ireland title. You know, and edge out Shamrock Rovers, and you know the other, even Derry gave it a good rattle last year as well. You know, so it was brilliant for them. But just at this present time, Scott, they're not firing on all cylinders. So, you know, maybe this will be the tie that gives them the bit of motivation that'll maybe kickstart their season again and get them going. Because, you know, if a game against Linfield, you know, if that doesn't whet your appetite for the rest of the season, nothing will. They will already be making plans and preparations for that there. So it's going to be brilliant. Two ties for, you know, hopefully we'll see them here on TV and stuff like that. You know, it'll be brilliant for us. But as I say, I just have my concerns at the minute. I don't know what Linfield will be like. Linfield won the league at a canter here last year. They won the league by a country mile. Larne, Portadown, Glenavon, Coley, and they cut each other's throats. And Linfield just took advantage every single time. And they just ended up running away with the league. It was embarrassing. So I don't know what way that'll be, but I would hazard a guess that if, you know, at this present minute in time, Linfield will probably be too strong. The only thing that'll be in Shelbourne's favour is, again, because we play the summer football, they are sort of 12, 15 games into their season. So they will be fitter and they will be sharper. So listen, it'll be interesting to see, but it'll be an old cross border one, isn't it? You know, so everybody will be keen to see how that pans out. But let's hope Shelbourne get the result that they need over the two legs.
Aye, we've mentioned, Andy, a few Battle of Britons on this podcast the past few weeks, so it's going to be a Battle of Ireland. I know you're a massive fan of David Healy, Andy, so I'll leave the floor to you, mate. What are you thinking about this one? A wee Celtic Rangers thing flung into the mix for this fixture as well, which is good to see.
I liked that comment saying he's got a face you'd never get tired of punching, which is absolutely...
That was the one. That was the one.
An irritating wee man. A typical Hunt, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be quite a meaty contest, you know. Paddy's got a great point. We all know about Linfield. They're the strongest team there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
With a connection to the undead. I'm not going to make out that I know a lot about the Irish game. I really don't. But obviously, wish Duff all the best. Going to be difficult, but it's going to be certainly interesting. So I'm going to be trying to tune into that. It's as you said when they came down over the border, you know, you've got the north-south divide, you've got the whole kind of maybe the religion. I'll say the religion side of it, you know, but that adds to it. You know, it's going to be very interesting. But it's well, Duff. It was at Celtic as a coach, so you've got that. You've got the Celtic Sevco connection there, I suppose. You know, which kind of sparks interest with us and the fans for the other side. They'll probably tune in as well. So when is it getting played?
July the 8th is the first leg, mate. Where did I put it? I think it was... Let's have a look. Fucking hell. There we go. So first leg's in Dublin, 8th, 9th of July. And the second in Belfast the week of that.
15th and 16th. So
They have to get the 12th in first, you see. So they might still be pitched for the second leg.
Aye, I know. Aye, so it might work in Shelbourne's benefit. But aye, good luck to Shelbourne. It'll be an interesting watch.
So there was a question there for you, Andy, in the comments. Who do you hate more, David Healy or Martindale?
Oh, if I could fit the two of them in a phone box, then aye, I would go for it. Definitely go for it. It's hard to pick. I'm going to... honestly, I'm going to go for Martindale, right? Because I'd love to just... I don't want to get banned off of YouTube, but you can imagine what I'd want to do to that guy. Just annoys life at me. And I'll leave Healy for after that. He can have his shot after Martindale.
Leave Healy for Paddy. So, Kaiser. Celtic Rangers connection. Battle of Ireland. Should we give Shelbourne a couple of wee players? Johnny Kenny, as somebody mentioned. Maybe Yang, maybe Scales. Get them back Scales. Go there for a couple of months.
A wee loan spell, a wee 6-month loan spell for a few of them. I quit the lads for battle. Yeah, very, very meaty tie. Looking forward to that one. I will be tuning in and watching. Of course, with the orange walks and whatnot that they have over there, sectarianism will be at maximum peak staunchness. There'll be bonfires ablaze. They'll be walking up and down the street looking like the village of the damned as usual. Or the fatties will be out on parade. Utterly horrendous. Like a march of the elephant men. As I says, the Celtic Rangers connection there with Duff, as we know, who was a coach. I seen a comment saying that he said Mikey Johnston was underappreciated and underrated. I can only imagine how fantastic Mikey Johnson was in training because he didn't have the pressure of the crowd and all of us on his back. But that's what makes a Celtic player, conquering that pressure and still achieving greatness over the top of it. Definitely be tuning in, definitely be watching that. I can understand me here in Ibrox. There'll be flute bands playing and guys will be out with their majorette sticks and you know what I mean. It is Pride Month. It is Pride Month as well, so I'm training for Pride Month as well. But I love that. I love that comment where get the two of them in a phone box and just stick a wild bear in beside them, Andy. Just jam them in there with a wild bear, a grizzly. Definitely a lot of neb with Celtic's pre-season friendly as well in Cork. That'll have the Celtic supporting part of Ireland riled up and ready for battle as well. First and foremost, I'm insinuating battle on the football field, ladies and gentlemen. Please stay safe in the streets and stay safe in your travels. Don't get any taxis up there in Belfast. I've seen what goes on taxis in Belfast. It's not like the fake taxi where people get naked. There's a baldy guy and he's got a gun and stuff. And he's like, you'll be paying
years ago when I was in Belfast, the way the Hackneys work now, they work like buses. It's one person jumps in a taxi and it's not their taxi. It stops for other people and then they pay their way. You know what I mean? The taxi's it's mental, man.
Man, everybody just joining in and paying their section of the fare. Wow. It's a good way to get a cheap taxi if you're going on a long run. get somebody in, pick them up, pay a section. If you're getting the discount, definitely, as long as it's no Adam Meader picking up, nobody wants to be spewed on. Nobody wants to be spewed on.
A Hackney type taxi, it was a private taxi once in Belfast, and well, this is back in the day, so you'd have a list of kind of numbers to phone for taxis. Obviously, you don't like phone the wrong one. I jumps into this motor. I think we were going to Ardoyne or something. Jumps into the front seat, passenger seat, and there's like a car battery sitting in the footwell. And I was like, what the fuck's that sort of it? I don't know why to start asking questions about that for, I mean, but
that's for torturing the ferry people.
That was used for extracting information on it.
Just nipple grips as well beside it. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So moving on, ladies and gentlemen, Kaiser sort of mentioned them earlier, and I tried to just give you a wee teaser about them as well. There's been some good news today about Rio Hatate. I did mention it earlier that since January, the SMSM has been telling us that he is off. So the Scottish mainstream media has been telling us that he has played his last game for Celtic, but it doesn't seem to be the case. As Kaiser mentioned, he remembers some golden words from Zico, that former player at Suto Ochida once said, "They were, when you retire as a player, all that remains is the number of titles that you have won." Hearing that, I'm proud to have added another league title to my career this season. So it goes on to say basically that what he's in fit by is for Paddy is to win trophies and titles. And at Celtic, he's going to do that. So it does look as though he is going to be staying, which is fantastic news.
It's brilliant news for us, Scotty. And, I've been a big critic of Rio, over the last year or so. And it's not anything to do with the lad himself. It's just consistency, and this is what we've said. We've said it time and time again. When Hatate plays, Celtic play. It's as simple as that. That's how good he is, and he's the heartbeat of the team alongside Callum McGregor there, and there's when he's not playing. That's what I always say to people. Just watch the way we play when he's not there. As I say, he sets the tempo, and he brings that quality to the team. There's absolutely no doubt in the lad's quality. Listen, Rio Hatate could be playing in any league in Europe. No doubt about it. He could play in Italy, he could play in Spain. His style, just suits those games. You could just see Rio Hatate sitting in the Juventus midfield or the AC Milan midfield, or he's that type of a player. His quality just, his quality stands out for anybody that watches football. And it's just great for us, because he's probably typical of, of one or two of the players that we've seen over the last number of years who've come, they've stayed a couple of years and then they've gone, they've took the big money. And, that's the frustrating thing for me, because as we've said before, like if you're a professional footballer and you want to have your grandchildren around when you're long gone, you're not going to show them the money you have sitting in the bank. You want to show them the medals, and you want to talk about the big games you played, and you want to talk about the cup finals that you scored goals, and you want to talk about league championships that you won, and tell your family about that, So it's just great for me, because I was kind of starting to think, maybe this could be his last hurrah this season. But towards the end of the season just past there, we saw Rio back to much more like the player he was. And you know what? Maybe a bit of that speculation in the media maybe had got to him, and maybe he started to believe in some of the stuff that was being written about him in the press. That can happen. But the one thing that I'm just delighted for is us, that's keeping Rio Hatate. If we can get that guy, if we can even get him on another long-term deal, get him to sign another contract, that's like Celtic signing another 12, 15 million pound player. No doubt about that. Yep. That's how good the guy is, and as I say, we talked earlier about, going forward now, the season coming ahead, and you're looking at Paulo Bernardo, you're looking at Arne Engels, Rio Hatate, Luke McCowan, Callum McGregor. We're stacked in that area. The one thing I would like to see is bringing in a ball winner. I would like to see us bringing in an absolute ball winner just to take the pressure off those guys and to win back the ball from the opposition, similar to what Neil Lennon did, similar to what Murdo McLeod did in his day, because every team needs a tough tackling midfielder to go get the ball back from the opposition and then give it to the guys that can play. So listen, guys, Hatate's a genuinely talented, quality player. and we can't get enough of them. It's as simple as that. So I would just be delighted to see that Rio's staying. And if he is going to stay, well, then that's what we need to be doing. We need to be sitting down with him and see if we can get him on to an improved deal and a longer term deal. Not only just to make him happy, but also to protect your investment. It means if you have him on another 3 or 4 year contract, if somebody does come calling, then you call all the shots with the transfer fees. So fantastic news, Scott, all round.
Aye, it's really good. And something else that's really good, Andy, is we have over 150 watching us again live at the minute. Got quite a lot going on behind the scenes, mate, haven't we? We're talking about maybe starting a Monday pod eventually. We've started a new Discord channel. Your TikTok's flying. Paddy's Planet Celtic as well. There's loads going on behind the scenes. You just want to give the viewers a quick update of all the sort of things that's happening, Andy?
We're trying to get a team together. Obviously, when you're starting a pod, you need to get the initial team together, and then if you want to expand, you want to change it up a wee bit and maybe change your faces and opinions, because I think people like that. If they can have... Listen, people have got their favourites who they like to listen to, who they don't listen to, and people don't like listening to me, unfortunately. But that's just tough shit, innit? I'm here, and I'm always here, and you'll not get rid of me. But it'd be good to even bring a kind of younger aspect into it, because we're all bastards, aren't we? So we always hark back to the kind of 80s and the kind of era, 80s, early 90s, the bad old days. So it'd be good to get a kind of younger panel in, just a different opinion. Obviously, you need to fit and reliability and stuff like that, because that's probably the most important thing, is being reliable. That if we set a stream up, you can go with it, because at the end of the day, if we start a Monday pod, whatever that team is, it's up to them to do it. We'll certainly do our bit behind the scenes, but we're looking for people with input and ideas, and basically put their kind of input into it, reflect a bit of their personality in the podcast as well. So we're always looking to expand and change it up now and again. It's good to have a wee bit of change now and again, even though we'll still be here. Just before we go into whatever else we're going to talk about, this comment come up for White Travel about waiting. I know the waiting list is torture on it. I've been on it over 5 years, and I've got a feeling something might happen this season. Fingers crossed. So I'm kind of hopeful that I might get we're actually going for 3. But even one will do, it's also very difficult when you're on the waiting list. So I don't know, it's just a case of waiting, I think, and if you're lucky enough to hear anything and get offered one, then you're going to snap somebody's on after it. So I just wanted to touch on that comment there, because I'm in the same boat.
And that, Andy?
Discord. So I'll try and...
It's on the community page. It's on the community page.
It's on the community page, aye. I should have... Let me sort that out now, right, mate, if you want to go to Kaiser.
Right, I'll go to Kaiser and then we'll come back to Andy. So, Rio Hatate, Kaiser, as you alluded to earlier as well, he has been saying, you're a long time retired, basically. He started late as a professional football player and he's winning trophies. So it looks like he's happy and he's going to be hanging about.
Yeah, definitely. With the comments he made, Scotty, it looks like he could be hanging about, or he could be signalling his intent to say he's not going to anyone who's not challenging for titles in any respective league where people are coming in from. So not to waste time coming in if you're finishing 5th or 4th or 3rd. He's wanting to be challenging for titles because that's what you look at on the shelf. So I don't 100% read into he's guaranteed to stay. Football is a fickle business and it can change at a heartbeat. And as you said, with 150 people watching, a famous man once said, football is nothing without the fans. And so our podcasts are absolutely nothing. It's just 4 guys chatting, unless you are all here in the comments, bringing in your comments, sharing the content. Make sure you share it out to your friends, get it on that social media, and get a like on every video, legends. That's how we do it. And as Andy said, we are looking for more contributors. One of the fastest growing podcasts on YouTube. We're looking to diversify, get some more younger talent and maybe some even older talent coming in to relive older games, watch older footage in bygone years, because one of the famous other sayings of the club is, if you know your history. So maybe it's about time some of this young team started learning a little bit more about the history of Celtic, and it wasn't just all fair weather. If every day was Christmas Day, what's a Christmas Day? It's got to be a little rainfall on everybody's day sometimes, as we've seen at the end of the season with a defeat in the Cup to Aberdeen. That was their victory in our rainy day. Season books, I'm on the waiting list as well. I do split one with my dad, but as I says, when Celtic do well, he's like the granda for Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. He springs out his bed, gets revitalised with energy, and he's away back to paradise. Especially for the derby games and Champions League games, it's hard to pry the ticket out of his hands. But I'm waiting myself as well. 5 years is what's spoke about for the waiting time. And even if Celtic do make moves and try and upgrade the stadium in capacity, they're going to be relocating fans from the stadium to other areas of the stadium. I would basically wish they would just tell the away support for Scotland, "Well, you're getting nothing, not one. He's cut the allocations. We'll just cut it right down and we'll fill that with Celtic fans who are wanting to sing and go absolutely mental and have fun." I love that. I love that green wall as well. I wish we could do that right around the entire bottom of the stadium, have the green ring, so to speak, and have it just spewing forward with colour and noise. I love it to be at the games and sing and get involved. I think there's a reason we're called the 12th man. There's a reason Celtic rise up and defeated Barcelona, one of the greatest club sides that I've ever played. There's a reason that happened. It's all down to the support in the stadium as well, elevating the players, singing their name. That's what turns an ordinary player into a legend. That's how legends are forged, and that's what That's what happens in the theatre of dreams that is paradise. Long may it continue, and this podcast as well. Long may this continue. Everybody out there, it does rely on news. It goes nowhere unless you help it. I'm watching other podcasters hitting 50,000 subscribers, and I'm like, we'll be there one day. But I definitely not be wearing a Man U top when it happens, legends. Only support Celtic, Celtic B, Celtic ladies, Celtic reserves, and to the academy. I'll be there watching it. But that's it. I've got nowhere to hide when it goes wrong for Celtic. I don't run away and go, "Oh, but I've got this other team to watch." It's here. We live here. We die here. That's what it's all about for me.
Well said, my good man. Well said. Andy, have you found that link, or will we just send them to the community page?
I put it in the chat on my phone on the YouTube, and it's not showed up for some reason. Twice I've put it on.
So it's on the community page, folks. If you go on our community page, you'll find it on there. Links on there. Click on that. Download Discord, and then you're in. We'll have good crack off the pod. So, Andy, Rio Hatate basically stated 2 good points there from Paddy and Kaiser. Kaiser might have a point, actually. He could be just throwing it out there as saying to other teams, if you're trophy winning and cup winning, then come in for me. If you're no, stay away. Or is he talking, I'm winning trophies at Celtic and I'm just going to stay where I'm?
How long have we been hearing that Hatate's on his way? Just about every transfer one day it comes up, and he's still here. I like Hatate. I've said it in the past, and I'll continue to say it until he proves me wrong. He's boss hot and cold for me. We obviously know he's gifted, very gifted. Great passing ability, always got a cracking goal on him as well. But it doesn't do it enough for me, so it's a consistency. Maybe that's what's putting other teams off as well. They go, he's a good player, but is he going to be able to do it for us on a consistent basis? So maybe that's what's putting other teams off. I don't know. But obviously you want to keep your better players. Obviously you look at your transfer policy as well, that he's probably at that stage of his Celtic career that he maybe should be going out the door if we are doing it the way we do business as usual. By the time he's already spent here. But I think it's always good if you can keep hold of your better players. But I think Hatate for me is going to be more consistent. And I feel sorry for Bernardo sometimes because he's one of the guys that's maybe keeping him out of the team. And you could look at Engels there as well. All right, it's his first season, but a wee bit inconsistency for him as well. And ultimately, when Bernardo's come in again, he's been inconsistent as well. He's no snatched that jersey. So I'd like to see, especially for Hatate, a wee bit more of the good stuff would be good. because we know he can do it. He's a very gifted young man, a guy that didn't really start the professional game till he was kind of a wee bit older in years, you know. So I don't know where his mind is. Is his mind elsewhere? Is that maybe why he is so inconsistent? Is it just whenever he feels like turning up, he's going to turn up? But I think if the longer we can keep hold of our better players, the better.
Aye, that's exactly what it's all about, mate. So, Stephen, how do I get on the page? Just everything's on our YouTube page, mate. So if you go on the YouTube page, click community, all the information you need, mate, is on there, and that's for everybody else as well. So have a wee look. So, Paddy, we're going Japanese daft tonight. Next up is Daisen Maeda. So he's been talking as well. I know we covered this a couple of weeks ago on the pod, but this is him very recently. Speaking about his ambitions for the season ahead, Maeda highlighted the importance of European football. I really enjoyed playing in the Champions League this season because there were so many games and it gave us a lot of different challenges. I think the new format has been great. I'm excited again to try it again this upcoming season. It helped me improve. Now, I take Kaiser's point. It could be thrown out there for other teams saying, if I'm going to leave Celtic, I'm coming to a Champions League team. But for me, that's him saying he wants to stay where he is and he wants to kick on from where he was last season.
Yep, that's my reading of it too, Scott. And at the risk of repeating myself, I did say that towards the end of the season. I say we have to always keep at the back of our mind that these guys are human beings as well, with families, with all the issues that we have as well. They may be making big money and stuff like that there, but his wife had a child there on the other side of the world. They wanted the child to be born in Japan, so he was back and forward. So I did say that there, that in a pod a few weeks ago, that at this present minute in time, I don't think Daisen Maeda will be even considering anything other than just staying with Celtic in the meantime. He's not, he's not gonna rip that whole thing up, for a move to anybody. He had an absolutely brilliant season for us domestically, and he was fantastic in Europe as well. And that's what happens. That's what puts players on the map, and that's why you get the speculation of bigger clubs, because you're getting that exposure at the very highest level, club football in the Champions League. So you're getting that exposure. So your players are being seen by these other clubs. And Andy and me've talked at length about it. Jerry as well. We've said it before. Like, Daisen Maeda is a unique player. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about that. I don't think I ever saw a player like Maeda before he came to Celtic, and I haven't seen a player like him. Certainly the way he played last season. The guy is just unbelievable. He has an unbelievable work rate. He never seems to tire. He just seems to run and run and run. And as I said before, like, he's one of these key players for us now. He's gone from a player who, I said it under Ange the first couple of seasons under Ange. If for some reason it hadn't worked out and he had to move on, you probably wouldn't have lost a lot of sleep over him at one time. But he's gone from being that kind of a player, really frustrating guy, to being an absolute first pick on the team sheet. There's no question of that in my mind at all. He's bound to be a first pick for Brendan every time, because he's so versatile as well. He offers that threat on the left-hand side with his pace and his trickery, but he can also operate as a number 9. Like, you saw the goals he scored this season. Once we lost Kyogo in January, we never actually signed a direct replacement for Kyogo, but Maeda just stepped in as if Kyogo had never been away and, just banged in the goals for fun. So it's fantastic for us, Scott. It's brilliant for us altogether, because, the wee guy is just such a joy to watch. I say he's another, he's one of these wee guys, I say again, he plays the game with a smile on his face, and he's got that Japanese mentality. He's a, you can see him always. He's always shaking the hands of the opposition and picking players up when they're down injured and stuff. He's got that in him as well. He's a really lovely human being. So it's just great for us. It's fantastic for us that we're going to have him around. And again, for him, my hope would be that we could, that we can get him on another contract again to maybe finish his career in Glasgow.
Yeah, Andy, I think that's got to be the biggest deal we make this summer. With 2 years left, we can't afford to let him get down to a year. So I think that's a priority this summer for sure, is getting Maeda tied up. And according to that statement there, it looks like he is going to be hanging around.
Aye, good to hear. He's like having an extra player in your team. He has his work rate, and then everything else that he offers. It's like having two players in the one jersey. Very unique player. I'm not an expert in world football, and I don't watch every league in the world. But I've not seen MD like Dyson Maeda. Just mental, and you're absolutely correct. You know, when he first came in and almost ridiculed, and even the Sheffield fans were having a go at him. You know, slagging him off, and he's been an absolute hunt scalper. He's been a thorn in Tavernier's side, and all the memes of him creeping up behind him and all that kind of thing. And it's absolutely true. You know, it's no made up. It's true. He's got the evidence there with the goals he scored. He's absolutely terrorised him in particular. But you can see the fear in defenders' faces and goalkeepers' faces when he's running down on them. You know, then you've got the goals and top of that. He's just a really, really important player for us, and probably the most important player for us, I think. Listen, you can look through the team and look at Calmac and look getting KT back, absolutely huge for us. But if Dyson was to leave us, it'd be a massive, massive miss. Try to replace what he does for us. So I think we're fortunate that we've got him. I'm actually surprised that he's not in higher demand, to be quite honest with you. It's pretty simple to look at him, what he brings to a football team. There's plenty of clubs out there, you look at that and go, he would slot right in there and absolutely run riot. But I'm not complaining, because this is where I want him to be. And he's proven he's been so important to us winning and being successful and continuing to do that. So I think it's important you're absolutely right, if we can get him on an improved deal. And he does deserve to be on an improved deal. If MD at that club deserves to be on a better deal, it's him. So fingers crossed something can get done there.
Hopefully. Another way to look at it, Kaiser, are the Japanese guys looking at the Kyogo situation and thinking, the grass isn't greener? You know, he's maybe on their shell saying, lads, don't leave where you are. You know, you've got it made. I've made the biggest mistake in my life, because they will be pals and they will be talking. You know, they're in group chats like we are. Make no mistake about that. So our Hatate, who we just spoke about there, and now Maeda, are they looking at the Kyogo situation and going, we've got nowhere. We've got it made here.
Yeah, exactly, Scotty. For me, that's what I feel's happened here. I feel like if Kyogo had went and been highly successful, it might have tempted them to move on. But the fact that it's fell completely flat for Kyogo. Once again, all sympathy to Kyogo. He was a fantastic player while he was here. He absolutely gave us his all for 95% of the time. Before he left, I thought like he'd run dry with the goals and stuff, and was bordering on saying the wee man's threw the tools down. But it's just I don't think it's within the Japanese players' makeup, the way they train. Dyson Maeda, I used to say all the time, okay, he had a wee mistake in him, but this season very much Mr. Consistency. He found that consistency and fun. And like I would always say, Mikey Johnson is the skid mark of Celtic and Dyson Maeda is the benchmark. And always proving that hard work beats talent unless talent works hard. Dyson Maeda is one of the hardest working men in world football. We've seen when we played against Bayern Munich that the coach took his running stats and what he's done. His presses, his off the ball play as well, he's tracking back and stuck it to the wall, basically putting it in the face of Harry Kane and going, this is the kind of player, this is what a player given that maximum activity offers. And of course, Harry Kane, fantastic player as well, had managed to score 40 odd, 50 odd goals in the Bundesliga. So he was clearly firing over there, but to put that work ethic and put that down, definitely singled out to me that there will be a lot of suitors coming in for Dyson Maeda over the course of this window. It doesn't close until the 1st of September. So for me, I would put a reserve on Dyson Maeda. I always say like 46 million. In reality, he's worth Champions League qualification. He's worth Champions League money. He's worth us carrying a threat at any point in any game, no matter the opposition. He strikes fear into the heart of European defences. He doesn't let a defender rest. He's on the ball, even pressures the keepers when the keepers try to get possession. Absolutely love him. He's absolutely immense, and it will be one of the biggest coups if he does stay and does deserve a bumper deal, along with Brendan Rodgers as well. I hope Brendan signs on for another few years and cements that in, ticks all those boxes, and then we can all turn our attention to the board and fully focus on where they're spending the money, how they're spending the money, and what we want them to do with the money. I'm not really too disheartened by the players we've been linked with and players brought in right now. We do need to strengthen the squad, and every signing that comes in is not going to be a marquee signing. So we need to relax a little bit. I keep on saying some people out there need to get themselves a wee prescription of CBD toilet paper so they can calm their arses down. Just get a break. It's a long transfer window. Don't get too over anxious about it. And I know we are going to move on to speak about the Japanese fellow who's been linked with us as well. So I'll keep my opinions on that until we get there.
Well, we're getting there now. So, Paddy, we have been linked with Hayato Inamura, young Japanese defender. So I gave everybody a wee bit of homework to have a wee look at him on YouTube. Again, we know everybody's brilliant on YouTube, but I had a wee look at this guy myself. Very fast, left footer, likes a tackle, looks a very, very good player, Paddy. But like I said, everybody does on YouTube. Did you manage to have a wee look at the young man yourself, and what was your thoughts?
I did, Scott. And listen, I don't want to rain on your parade, but you know, the guy looks fantastic. There's no question of that. His ability as a footballer, you know, some of the long range passing, you know, his interceptions, he's nipping in front of the forward. But just for me, the one thing that lacks in any, and it just seems to be you know, in the Japanese makeup, that they just don't have a big bruiser of a centre half. You know, I'm sorry, but that's, you know, we saw the experiment with Kobayashi, and you know, from the very first day I saw Kobayashi, that guy's never a centre half, not a centre half for Scotland anyway, not in a million years. And that will be my only concern about this guy too. Certainly has all the attributes and stuff like that, you know, but you know, they play a completely different game over there. You know, it's not in the Japanese makeup. You know, quite a lot of those Japanese teams set up with three at the back, and they play sort of three. You wouldn't call them centre halves, but they're three defenders. They have a right-sided defender, a left-sided defender, and one in the middle. You know, and they're all football and centre halves, and they bring the ball out from the back, and they're fantastic at reading the game. And you know, but you know, the one thing that has been labelled, you know, against us this last wee while is the fact that you've got Austin Trusty, you've got Liam Scales, you know, you had Narotsky as well, you know, but you know, we haven't seemed to have been able to find a proper regular partner for Cameron Carter-Vickers since Carl Starfelt left to go to Spain. So that's my only concern with this guy too, Scott. You know, I just don't know that this guy has the physical attributes to tackle the Scottish game. You know, like the Scottish winter's coming here. You know, again, you get the pitches are heavy. You know, you're going to be up against it physically. Big strikers. You know, big front players that bully the centre half, and you know, this is where we have fell down. We saw Austin Trusty, you know, at Dundee that night. You know, you remember Brendan, the weakest piss description of the corner. You know, and I'm not saying that about this guy for 1 second, but I'm just looking at his build, I'm looking at his physique, and I just don't know, Scotty. I would urge caution with this. You know, what I did see was that somebody said that he can play as equally as comfortable in the left back position. So, you know, maybe that's something that Brendan's looking at. He may be looking at if Greg Taylor's not going to stay, and they're not going to pursue a deal for Jeffrey Sloop, we're going to need somebody that's going to be able to cover on that left hand side, you know, as well. So, listen, he looks fantastic, Scott. He definitely looks the part. But again, it's just my concern about players from that part of the world is that they're not up to the rigors of the game in Scotland.
Aye, it's fair enough. You know, we don't want to get too involved in it. It's a rumour. Apparently there is a medical book, Andy. You know, but I did ask everybody to have a wee look at him. We don't have a partner for Cameron Carter-Vickers, and we don't have MD to cover for Cameron Carter-Vickers if he gets injured. No, Brendan hasn't even got a clue who his number 2 centre half is. But the way we play football is we like to bring the ball out from the back, and we've noticed that teams sit after the likes of Liam Scales and let him have the ball, you know, when he's coming out, because he's hopeless. But this boy looks good. You know, I've watched quite a bit of him on YouTube, to be fair, the past couple of days. And he does look good coming out with the ball, and his passing's good, his tackling's good, his speed's good. He does look a decent player, but I get what Paddy's saying, but every single player's a gamble, regardless where they're from, how much they cost, so on and so forth. But I mean, have you had a look at him yourself, mate? And what's your thoughts?
I was impressed. Obviously, we know it's YouTube, but I was impressed, and I totally agree with everything you said there. You know, very comfortable on the ball. Looks a tidy player. He's diagonal passes, not. And when I first started kind of looking at the passes, I'm going there, set off for Maida just to get right onto them.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say, Scotty, is the physicality, and also I didn't see a lot of him in the air, attacking the ball in the air. Everything seemed to be on the deck. And I think, especially in domestic football with Scotland, if you're kind of maybe smaller in stature, we've seen it.
They could target him. They could target him, mate. Aye.
You get targeted with firing the ball, try to get the ball into his area, or he sees where the physical challenge wasn't there. So that would be my concern, because I totally agree with you and Paddy as well. So I'm kind of stuck in the middle here. I do like to look at him, but I do like my defenders to defend. So I would be looking for somebody that's a wee bit more robust physically, and maybe see Merriam in the air, because I never really seen much of him at all, if any. They're attacking the ball with his head. Everything seemed to be on the deck, and especially in domestic football, it doesn't always work out that way, where we can play football on the deck. You've got to have a kind of ugly side to it as well and be able to deal with that. So it'll be interesting to see if he does come in, what type of player he's going to be when he's up against Livingston or that carry on, that type of football you're going to face. But again, a good shout with the left back role as well. You could probably see him slotting in there if KT gets injured. And you just mentioned CCV as well. We've not really, Brendan doesn't really know what the backup is in that position. And we know that CCV is going to get injured, because he always does, especially around about Champions League time. We miss out on him, and they're the big games. You need your big players. So I'm really looking for, but I certainly think we need a couple of centre backs in for sure. But we need to get rid of bodies, because financially it's going to go against us, you know. So we need to sort that out as well. We need to figure out who's staying, who's got a future, and who hasn't, and get them out as soon as, and get in quality. Take them off the wage bill, take them off the whole kind of structure, financial wise, and put it into somebody that's, as you said, it's a gamble. There's no guarantee somebody's going to come in and be a success. And I think, in general, we have been successful in the transfer market, but had some howlers as well, you know, when you look back. And a lot of them are still at the club. So, you know, I think we need to get rid of some bodies as much as we need to bring in quality.
Aye. He's both bang on, you know. It's one of the things. It's everything's a gamble. Kaiser, you know, we are talking about bringing people in, but are we getting rid of people as well that maybe we shouldn't be? The likes of Naroki. Could Scales come in, keep the jersey? Could Trusty? Could this be his season? You know, has he maybe had to boot up the arse that he maybe needs and thinks, we're looking at bringing in our left-hand sided centre half here. That's my position. So it might give him the kick up the arse as well. There's loads of different ways we can look at this.
Yeah, what I seen of the YouTube footage, Scotty, of Inamura, I thought he was fantastic, winning the ball, very well timed tackles. Not only that, but when he does win the ball and when he recovers possession, he had the intelligence and driving runs and excellent range of passing, pinging diagonal balls across the pitch. And I think if he's coming in, that is going to be the cover for the left back position. Because I seen another podcast earlier on today where somebody highlighted the mistakes he made at the back, balls that are getting crossed in, and they're like, "Oh, in my opinion, the defender on his side should be challenging that ball. The striker actually runs in behind him, so the other centre back behind him should have been covering what he can see." In my opinion, also there's another cross ball, and there's a kerfuffle at the edge of the area, and he gets blocked off by one of the opposition players, so he doesn't really make it in to recover. But it doesn't lead to them conceding any goals. It just looked like weak moments in the air. I don't think he's going to be in. I can fully appreciate what Paddy's saying, right? I don't think he's going to be playing centre back in Scotland and have big bruisers on him. I think he's going to be in the left back position and there for cover for KT. Development as well for the price for bringing him in, very, very cheap. Enough in gems, left, right, and centre. For me, it's a goer. I think I like to look at him as long as, like the boys are saying, physicality in that in Scotland is put under pressure. But we've got Liam Scales in there for that. That's why we've got that big bruiser in there. He can play there and maybe not get left with the ball. When you've got somebody in the left back position of the passing ability of this young guy, you're not going to leave him time on the ball because Celtic are going to hurt you straight for the back then. And that's the way I see it going. But the manager takes his fancy for players he likes, players he doesn't like. We've all seen the Rocky, but we've seen bite-sized samples of him. I mean, he's come in and done well. He's never let us down. So I don't want to criticise the guy, but Brendan sees him every single day in training. There's got to be something lacking there. There's got to be something other than Brendan's an egomaniac and the Rocky farted on his porridge one morning, so that's him out of the squad forever. There's got to be something more than that. There's got to be something about the fundamental makeup of him that Brendan just doesn't like. He seems to be in love with Trustee's recovery pace. My opinion on recovery pace is you don't need it if you don't need mistakes. And of course, what we're going to have at a European level, the strikers we're going to face at a European level are not big hammer-throwing bruisers who are going to come in. They're technical players who are going to play fast-paced and hurt you with their assets, which is their pace and their finishing ability. So I think he looks like a good prospect. And I use that word deliberately, prospect. He will be playing second fiddle to Kieran Tierney, in my opinion, and he will be there for cover. And his running power and ability to pass the ball, I think it's one we can take a risk on. Every player's a risk. You said that yourself, mate. Every single player we bring in, we've brought in players with huge reputations and they've absolutely fell flat. Seen it time and time again. So maybe we ought to see these players, give them a chance. The manager's obviously getting involved in the transfer window with the kind of players that he wants selected. He's not sitting back anymore and allowing it just to go down like when Ange left and they had already identified a list of players. And surely you're not going to turn around and go, I don't want any of the players. I want my own players in. Because you look at the players about the squad now that Ange left us and how much money we're making or could be making for these players if they were sold compared to how much we paid for them. So you need to take it and you need to be conservative with your opinions. You can't just go 110% yes, take them, or 110% no, because I've seen footage of them having a bad game. I've seen footage of lots of Celtic players having bad games as well. That happens. But for me, it's give him a go, you know what I mean? Give it a go. He's a foot taller than Greg Taylor, so that's good enough for me.
Also, one more thing that would concern me is the part of the world and say, that travel that's involved when there's international football and the Asian Cup and qualifiers for World Cups and all that. That is an issue. It can be really demanding on a player. And we see that with obviously Maeda and that. So that's another kind of slight worry that I wouldn't be too happy about is the travelling involved if he actually gets to that stage where his international career.
He's coming to Celtic, mate. He's not allowed to play for Japan now.
Yeah.
So moving on, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time.
Last man standing.
So it is our number 7 jersey this evening. We're going old school, so this number 7 jersey is going to the right midfielder, right winger. I've got 10 right midfielders, wingers for the guys to divulge through this evening. 10 belters again. I was hoping there was going to be 4 on the panel again tonight, but it wasn't to be, so we've only got 3. So the decision will be made by the panel this evening, but I still want your comments to come flying in because we do respect your opinion as well. There are no Lisbon Lions in this team. It's just players that we've all seen play in our time. And this is the first 6 that we've came up with so far. So Artur Boruc in goals, Danny McGrain right back, KT left back, Roy Aitken got the number 4 jersey, Virgil van Dijk got the number 5, Neil Lennon on Friday's podcast got the number 6 jersey, but who will get the number 7 jersey this evening? I'll go around the table like we did the last time so that nobody's under pressure. I'm going to start off with you, Paddy, first, yet again, sir. And the first two on the right-hand side fighting it out for that number 7 jersey this evening is Leo Abada is up against KT's best mate, Paddy Roberts. Who are you picking, sir, and why?
Oh, two top players, Scott. Two players that made an equal impact. You know, Leila Bada in Ange's first season, you know, a big part of how we managed to turn the thing around was Leila Bada from the first couple of games. Paddy Roberts, you know, again on loan. We never just managed to get him on a permanent deal. I thought he was a fantastic wee player. Came out of the Man City setup. You know, and when you think of some of his link-up play, of his goals, you know, in Brendan's first spell, you know, part of the Invincible team as well. Paddy Roberts linking up with Stuart Armstrong, you know, Scott Sinclair, you know, very tough one, this, Scott. It's a tough one. Do you know what? I'm going to go for Paddy Roberts.
Yeah, I think they're all very tough. I think they're all pretty much sort of similar as we get towards the end, I would say. But yeah, Paddy Roberts has got the vote. He's got the number 7 jersey, Andy. What are you thinking, mate?
It's just a bit we couldn't get Paddy Roberts on a permanent deal in it. It's loan deals. A very gifted player for good pedigree as well. But Abada for me, just the way he popped up, always popped up like that kind of back, always slid in, you know, he always get in there. The amount of goals he scored against that mob, and he was a thorn on their side.
Yeah.
But unfortunate the way it ended for him at Celtic. Felt a bit sorry for him, actually, to be honest with you. I'm going to go with Abada on this. Nothing against Paddy Roberts, very gifted young man, and as you said, KT's best pal. Just a pity we couldn't get him on a permanent deal, but I think Abada, we get more out of Abada. Loved his directness, and for the majority of his time at Celtic, he was like a wee buzz bomb. You know, he's full of energy. I know he had these moments when he wasn't quite as good, but I'm going to go with Abada on this.
That is the beauty of this segment, Kaiser. Already on the first one, you have the deciding vote. It's that tough. So who are you picking, sir, and why?
Both players I thought done really well for us. Paddy Roberts, when he came in on loan and stuff, it always left a bad taste in my mouth, the fact that Paddy Roberts was offered the deal and never took it. I always thought he deserved better than us. So for that reason, and the previous mentioned reasons by the guys, I'm Abada Kedavra all the way. I think it was fantastic, absolute lightning quick, and he had the ability to pop up and score on that back post. The memories are there. Of course, I remember him busting through the Champions League level and going a bit weak in the legs towards the end. But for me, still, at this stage here, Abada all the way.
Okay. So, Leo Abada has grabbed the number 7 jersey. I think him and Kyogo were perfect for each other. I think Andy made a great point there. The way he sort of just fizzed the ball in for Kyogo, it was a match made in heaven. And when Abada left, you could see that Kyogo was missing him. And we certainly missed Abada when he left. So Leo Abada has the jersey. I'm going to come to you next, Andy. Leo Abada is now up against friend of the show, friend of mine as well, good guy, Simon Donnelly.
Aye, well said. Cracking wee player. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Two totally different eras, different players as well. Simon was more skillful, I think, technically. Abada was all about the pace and the directness. It's a difficult one. I think I'm going to stick with Abada here. Sorry, Sid. Going to stick with Abada.
Okay. James, he played on the right-hand side with Jackie McMett back in the day, so he is an old school right midfielder. Kaiser, Abada or Simon Donnelly?
Yeah, for me again, Abada all the way. Honourable mention to Simon Donnelly. I seen a ball crossed into him and it was actually behind him as he jumped into the air and he leaned backwards and headed the ball. And every time I remember it, it gets further and further out. But I'm sure he was just outside the D of the 18-yard box. So honourable mention to Simon. Still involved very much at Celtic as well. He's at every event. He's always ambassador for players and stuff. But I'm sorry to make it irrelevant for you, Paddy, as well. Still want your opinion, of course. But for me, the magic that was Abada Kedavra for me still takes that jersey.
Okay, Patrick. Abada has the jersey, but we still respect your opinion, obviously, sir. Who would you have gave it to and why?
Two cracking players, Scott. I know I didn't pick Lee Labada over Patrick Roberts, but I hope Simon forgives me, but I have to go for Lee Labada on this one too. I know Simon's a great friend of the pod, and he was on with us at the very start for the Tommy Burns week, and it was brilliant seeing him. And I also saw him in Manchester at the Legends game as well. But
that's right.
No, just for impact, and Simon maybe not in the greatest era for Celtic, not in the greatest team. Lee Labada coming in, Ange with all guns blazing and just carrying all before him over those couple of seasons. For me, it has to be Lee Labada.
Okay, so Lee Labada, 2 in a row, has kept the jersey. We're now on to yourself, Kaiser. Lee Labada is now up against Scottish Cup final winning goal scorer from a throw-in that wasn't even ours, and the number 4 in our team managed to pick the ball up and throw it on, and it ended up at our Joe Miller. Lee Labada or Joe Miller?
Again, lads, as you have said, different eras, different style of football. Joe Miller, a cult hero, isn't he, for what he offered to the club. An iconic player for Celtic. Still for me, Abada keeps that jersey right now. Depends on who you bring up in future, we'll see. So I'm not locking it in. Abada is still on a shaky peg, but you've got it right now.
I think he is on a shaky peg, mate, because you've got 2 old boys after you. Patrick, Joe Miller or Abada, who are you going for and why?
Oh, it's another tough one, Scott. Joe Miller was a particular favourite of mine. I remember hearing on the radio the day we signed him for 650,000 from Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Massive player for us in that, in that Billy McNeil team, the centenary year and stuff. Just
he could have went to Man United and Liverpool and Arsenal.
What a player! Some of the biggest teams in England were looking for him, but he said himself as soon as he got the call from Big Billy, there was only one place he was going. Fantastic wee guy, great wee guy still about the place. You would still see him at Hampden regularly there as well. But it's a tough one, Scott. Really is. I'm going to stick with Lee Labada purely and simply just because of his directness. Just because of the directness. Wee Joe was more of a set-up merchant, more of a set-up guy. Joe Miller was happy setting other people up. Scored his share of goals as well, but Abada was more of a set-up man, but a very, very direct threat as well. As you say, that ghosting in at the far post, and I think, Lee Labada's name will probably be on Borna It's just tombstone before he goes much longer. So I'm going to stick with Lee Labada on this one, but wee Joe was a fantastic servant for us as well. Fantastic wee player. Loved him, but I'm going to stick with Lee Labada.
Andy, there's no deciding vote here. Lee Labada, he's on a Murdo McLeod type run here. Does he keep the jersey for you, or would you have gave it to wee Joe, and why?
I agree with what Paddy just said there. Very, very difficult decision. Super Joe, the Wayne,
Yeah.
just iconic times for Celtic that he took part in. And he's even got a cup final named after him. It was the Joe Miller Cup final. That goal, it's just something that just sticks in. That's not just Joe Miller, is that one goal, but lively character, pretty much with the energy of Abada as well. That actually quite similar in the way. I think, as Paddy said, more directness for Abada as in goal scoring threat that you go for him, but actually quite similar. Different eras, of course. I'm going to buck the trend here. I'm going to go with wee Joe. It's not going to make a difference, but I'm going to go with Joe Miller.
Aye, somebody said I looked shocked there. Actually, I'm a wee bit. I thought Joe Miller would have got the nod over Liel Abada, but Liel Abada keeps the jersey. And Patrick, we're back to you. He's now up against a man who shares a name with myself.
Oh dear. Do you know what, Scott? There's no comparison really for me. I loved Liel Abada, brilliant wee player, especially, as I say, the first couple of games whenever Ange brought him in, the first couple of games, you just saw something that we had been missing very, very badly for at least one season. We were so weak in that COVID season, and even towards the end of the season before. But Scott Sinclair, what a player, what a signing. I still maintain, if you talked about, and we'll maybe do this in the future, Mike, we might have this as a discussion as, maybe Brendan's best ever signing, in his first spell at Celtic Park. Scott Sinclair's right up there. He has to be right up there with the very best of them. Made an absolute world of a difference to us, from the very first day at Tynecastle when, Lee Griffiths scampered down the left and put the ball across for him to score the winner in the last kick of the ball at Tynecastle. He just gave us a wee glimpse there of what he could offer you. And he's, the memories of him, especially in that first season, that coming in off the left-hand side on that right foot, he's just dynamite, absolute dynamite. So not only a fantastic winger, set-up guy, but what a goal scorer, and somebody said before, he was a scorer of great goals, not only a great goal scorer, a scorer of great goals. Some of the goals that guy scored, he just made it look easy, and he was a massive impact. Liel Abada, along with Kyogo, along with one or two other ones, Cameron Carter-Vickers, they were in there as part of it, but Scott Sinclair transformed us in Brendan's first season. He absolutely transformed us in attack. So for me, I'm going to go with Scott Sinclair.
Okay, a few people are saying in the comments, did he play left? Oh, he did play left, he played right. It's very difficult for me to squeeze 10 players into this segment, folks, so please just calm down with the comments. Andy, Scott Sinclair or Liel Abada?
I don't know. I think Sinclair played in the left, did he know?
You'll not be asked back, Andy.
His blood vessels are just about to explode here.
No wonder you're banned for chat, Andy.
Simon Donnelly started as a striker, played in the right. And Joe Miller started as a striker. Christ, if anybody else wants to do this segment, crack on.
Scott Sinclair, brilliant signing to come in. He done an absolutely fantastic job for us. Cracking, as you said, some really memorable goals, cracking goals. Very, very dangerous player, quick, tricky. I'm afraid I'm going to have to go with Sinclair over the win this time, unfortunately for Joe Miller. But what a player this guy was. Superb. He takes the jersey for me.
Yeah, it's quite... everybody in the comments has literally picked Scott Sinclair as well, Kaiser. But, you seem to be a massive Liel Abada fan. Does he keep the jersey for you, or are you giving it to Scott Sinclair?
I was a fan of Liel Abada when he came in. I was a fan in this segment. But when it comes to Scotty Sinclair coming in there, it's a no-brainer. Definitely Scotty Sinclair, such a fantastic player for us. Had it all. He's said it all. Not only a scorer of great goals, not just a scorer of goals. Both footed, lightning fast, ability, technique. Had it all for us. Absolutely fantastic signing. Paddy saying that as well. Like possibly the best signing Brendan Rodgers made so far. So remains to be seen at what Brendan does going forward. But yeah, definitely Scotty Sinclair takes that jersey, rips it off a bad as shaky peg. He might only hold it for one turn, but he's Scotty Sinclair's right now.
I think he might lose it at the next turn. You never know. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 more people to keep the jersey off, Andy. And the first guy he has to try and keep that jersey off is Davy Provan.
Oh man, what a player! What a player! More than the goal in the 85 Cup final, and what a goal that was! That free kick. Provan was a fantastic player for Celtic. I didn't see a whole lot of Provan, to be honest with you. So that was kind of towards the end of his Celtic career. A lot of people's put off of Provan because when he went to Sky, he started talking a lot of shite, soup taking stuff and all that. The kind of Charlie Nicholas effect that he was having as well. But as a player, Provan was a brilliant player. It's a hard one. It's a really hard one. I think I'm going to go with Sinclair, just recent history and memories with Sinclair. But for me, that's a really tight decision to make because Provan was a cracking player.
Yeah, it's a very, very tough one that for me as well, Kaiser. I'm not trying to say that you probably haven't seen much of Davy Provan, but you might have done. You might be a historian that I don't know about, mate, and look back at the early 80s and stuff. Davy Provan or Scott Sinclair for you, my good man, and why?
You hit a nail on the head, my man. I never seen much of Davy Provan as a player. I seen him as pundity and had a lot of names to call him when he was a pundit. Just the same as Champagne Charlie. Fantastic player, but punditry, utter ludicrous. For me, Scotty Sinclair keeps the jersey, and it is just for the fundamental reason is I didn't see much of Davy Provan, and I'm not a historian. I count my blessings that I survived the 80s, never mind go back and relive it.
No, that's fair enough, mate. A guy who might give us more of an insight then into Davy Provan is our Patrick, and that's why we have the diversity on this podcast. Paddy, does Davy Provan grab that jersey off Scott Sinclair for you that's already got it, but I mean, does Davy get it and why?
Yep, he absolutely does, Scott, for me. One of the magicians when I was a young lad growing up, that one of my first, memories of watching that team, Davy Provan, he came in for 120,000 from Kilmarnock. He might have been the first player ever Celtic spent more than 100,000 on. I need to check that, but he was certainly the up. Murdo McLeod followed shortly after for 100,000, but Davy was 120,000 from Kilmarnock. The memories of him, the mop of curly hair, the socks around the ankles, fantastic winger, unbelievable skill. The thing that people don't realize about him was we actually had to work on him. We had to work on him his first couple of seasons on his crossing.
Yeah.
A bit like Didier Agath, he was fantastic at getting past a man and getting down, but then he's crossing. But once he got up to speed with it like that, he was an absolutely fantastic player for us. Massive part of, of Billy McNeil's teams and, the 10 men that won the league and, all those memories of cup finals, that goal against Dundee United, just what a free kick taker. That was another string he added to his bow as well. Just the memories of Davy Provan, or it just makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up thinking about him. Just the games he was involved in, the goals. And we didn't have football, wall to wall football in those days that we do now. So a lot of the games were, you were listening to them on radio, and then you were picking up the highlights later on, stuff like that. So, you sort of appreciated it maybe more in those days, when you saw the clips. Whereas now it's kind of, you can see whatever you like. But two unbelievable players for Celtic, two players who will go down in history as two of the best right-sided players that we ever had, period. So I'm glad the guys have picked Scott Sinclair, because I didn't want to be the deciding vote, but I would have definitely gone with Davy Provan purely and simply because of his memories for me when I was a young lad. So for me, it would have been wee Davy.
Yeah.
Paddy, I just seen the comments with Doyley and Provan. They were very much alike, weren't they? It was when you seen the two of them, they looked very much like each other.
Yeah. Two great Celtic men, Andy, as well. As I say, fantastic players. We were just so blessed at that time. We beat Real Madrid. I always say that. We beat Real Madrid in the home leg at Celtic Park. And that was a massive part. They were a massive part of that team. Johnny Doyle scoring, that header coming in from the left hand side, flying in there.
Yeah.
But that team, young Tommy Burns, Tommy Burns only stamping his authority on the team. You still got Danny McGrain. You know what I mean? You had Murdo McLeod, you had Big Roy Aiken rampaging through the middle. Just Frank McGarvey, George McCluskey. You know what I mean? Just such that, just for me, I was just in awe of these guys. Just absolutely in awe of them, because you're only a young lad of 11, 12 years of age. You're growing up, and that's the first real Celtic team that you can sort of identify with. And just Davy Provan, in that strip, that Celtic strip at the time as well. That's one of the best strips we've ever produced. That strip, and just seeing Davy Provan down the wing, taking his man on, the old-fashioned winger, a wee guy like 9.5 stones soaking wet. You know what I mean? And he's taking on a big bruiser of a fullback, and he's going by him, and he's twisting him one way and turning him the other. Just fantastic ability. And as I say, it just shows you that that's, look at the money it's going on now. Davy Provan cost 120,000 from Kilmarnock. You know what I mean? So just wonderful memories whenever you see these names.
Yeah. And folk are saying I'm calling Paddy an old bugger, round the back of the houses here. I'm no, because I would have picked bloody Davy Provan as well, by the way. So I'm not saying he's an old bugger at all. I love our Paddy. So Scott Sinclair has got the jersey. We're round to our Kaiser again. There is 3 more people for Scott Sinclair to keep that jersey off. And the first person, Kaiser, cost us £50,000. Didier Agat.
Wow.
Yeah. The man, loved Didier Agat. Absolutely lightning quick. And of course, I seen people putting their ages in during the 80s. I was 3 years old. You know what I mean? I was only a baby. That's how Provan it doesn't make. But for me, Agat all the way here. I say Scotty Sinclair technically more gifted, but Agat was just absolute lightning, tore teams apart. Absolutely. Here we go again. He was a fullback. For me, right, it's playing in.
He was a fullback, so was Roberto Carlos. Fuck's sake.
So was Roberto Carlos. Yeah. Your auntie had boss should be your uncle. Scotty's trying to shoehorn people in here, but for me, in this one, I would go Agat. Like the nostalgia and the tear in the eye or people have in chat, the memories of Agat, the game against Ajax and things like that away, just resound in the mind. I know he was a wing back and left, but come on, man, people, man, he's a wreck. But sorry, Scott Sinclair, right? Tap's getting took off you and is getting given to Agat. Simple as that.
Okay. Patrick, Didier Agat or Scott Sinclair, and why?
Oh, it's another tough one, Scott. Another very, very tough one. Two fantastic players, servants. Both made a huge difference. Agat came from relative obscurity. Born in the Reunion Islands, I believe he was. Came from Hibs. I think he may have had a spell at Wraith Rovers as well, but he came from Hibs for around about 50,000. And oh my goodness, did we wipe their eye there when you saw the guy? Easily one of the fastest players I've ever seen in a Celtic shirt. Maybe one of the fastest players I've ever seen playing football, to be honest. I got, down that wing, easily sometimes giving his man 15, 20 yards and not even breaking sweat to beat him to the ball. Just that's how quick the guy was. Again, the only thing about him was his final ball was in the first part of his career was a bit left a bit to be desired, but we worked on that and he eventually became a really good setup man. Massive part of Martin O'Neill's first couple of seasons at Celtic. When you think back to that team, we were desperate to wrestle back the control from Rangers, and Martin O'Neill came in there, and Didier got along with the likes of Johan Mjalby, Big Stan Varga, some of the names, they just, that team, Valharan, Neil Lennon, just some of the names in that team, Henrik Larsson, my God, we were blessed. Didier Gath was fantastic. An absolute flying machine, no doubt about it. But I'm going to stick with Scott Sinclair, purely because of his, production. Didier, again, he was like a whole lot of other players. If he had just could have added a few more goals to his game, he would have been perfect. But it's a very, very tough one, Scott. A very, very tough one altogether. But I'm going to stick with Scott Sinclair just because of the goals that he scored.
Excellent, mate. And like I said, this is why I love this segment. So, Andy, you have got the deciding decision here, mate.
Sorry, Andy.
Is it Scott Sinclair or is it Didier Gath? Very, very difficult choice yet again.
It's difficult. I'll make this quick and then I'll get into the reasons why. I'm going to go with Sinclair. And the reasons why is exactly what Paddy says, is a goal contribution. I think is a massive part of why I'm going for Sinclair. Gath was a fantastic player. Played for Celtic. As you said, a £50,000 buy. Just crazy when you think about it. I can mind after that Ajax game and Martin O'Neill saying he's worth about 13 million now or something. Yeah. And tongue in cheek, but when you look at nowadays prices, that's the kind of prices he would go for easily, possibly more. So an absolute bargain to a player. And remember, he took part in that before he went to Celtic. He played a Rangers player in that film with Alan McCoy, Star Shot of Glory, mate.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Before he went to, was he with Rafe at that time or Hibs?
Yeah, Rafe.
At Rafe, aye. So he was in that movie, but a fantastic player for Celtic. But as I said, I think the goal contribution for Sinclair's a massive deal breaker on this for me. So I'm going to stick with Sinclair.
Okay, mate. Peter Costello has hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
The viewers actually went for a Gath. So it's unfortunate that we didn't need your input this evening for the decider, because Scott Sinclair keeps the jersey. He's got two more people to try and keep this jersey off. And just let me know if these two aren't right midfielders or right wingers, folks. Just let me know, all right? Just so I know I'm doing my job right. Patrick, Scott Sinclair is up against... I know he was playing left wing this season, but he's the most decorated player in Celtic's history. And he did play the right midfield. James Forrest, Scott Sinclair or James Forrest? Who are you choosing and why?
Where on earth do you go with this one?
Let's find out.
Two massive players. Big part of Brendan's first time around. I know Jamesy's been around for longer than that, but a player that Brendan just transformed as well, turned James Forrest into the player is, and developed him into the player that he has become today. Scott, you can't win with this. There's no winning with this. Do you know what? Just because, for that reason, the longevity. He's a Celtic legend, and he's the most decorated player we have. So for me, I'm going to go with James Forrest, and that shows you how highly regarded I view James Forrest and his contribution to Celtic down through the years. because Scott Sinclair was an absolutely unbelievable player, Premiership quality, European quality. Brendan knew him, knew what he could do. But I'm going to go for James Forrest on this one, Scott.
Okay. Andy, is it James Forrest for you as well? Are you going with Patrick, or are you sticking with Scott Sinclair?
I find this an easier decision for me to make. This, it's definitely Forrest for me, for obvious reasons. Most decorated player, the goals he scored, the contribution, the big goals he's come up with in big games. It just seems as if he's always been there. His whole career with Celtic, his commitment to the club. For me, it's an easy one. It's an easy one. And Sinclair's obviously a fantastic player, but Jamesy for me is a Celtic legend, and definitely gets the tap for me. Plus the fact that the weekend, my missus was in the tune and get a wee win chaffy Jamesy, and I think she bought my Guinness as well. So, well done, Jamesy boy, because it's more than I can get. Met him. She was out with work colleagues and bumped into James. He says he was an absolute gentleman. She didn't want to annoy him, but he turned up. He kind of walked behind her, and she says, "Oh, hiya." Now, as if he should know her, kind of thing. And he's looking at her. So she got a wee picture. He was out with his brother, and I think I don't know if it was his parents or a friend or something, an uncle maybe or something like that. So she got a picture of Alan as well alongside Jamesy. So I was a wee bit jealous when she sent me the picture. But for me, it's Jamesy. Jamesy, very easy decision, I think.
Yep. Again, I think it might be a generational thing as well. You know, a lot of the younger ones picked Forrest, you know, for the contribution he made. James Forrest is still Marmite with some of your fans, which I find unbelievable, really. But Kaiser, who are you picking, sir, and why?
I need to say a different reason. There are two lads. So for asking Craig Gordon's missus to go to Nando's, James Forrest all the way. Nando, you should watch out, mate. He's a fan of other people's wives.
Fancy it.
Yeah, an eye on him. That I mean, he's got strong shoulders, even if there's not much of a neck on top of them. Right, Jamesy Forrest. He is. You've hit a nail on the head there as well, Scott. He Marmite with some fans. I remember first going on Twitter a few years ago when I first went onto Twitter and people were debating about James Forrest, and some people coming in with strong opinions about how he's living in a penthouse in Glasgow. You know, it's hardly the Riviera, but for me, the contributions and the goals he scored for us, the prize money he's earned us in qualifications and European competition, it was a no-brainer when I was arguing with those people in those days. I was like, James Forrest all the way, fantastic servant, lifelong Celt. Hopefully he finishes his career at Celtic as well. It's not a common thing in the modern game, and as rightly said, one of the most decorated Celtic player, and firmly in the annals of history, in the halls of history. He's got a wing in his house. He's got a wing in that penthouse now for his trophies.
Jamesy Forrest keeps the jersey. He's got one more person that he has to try and keep this number 7 jersey off for the 4-Leaf Clover podcast. And Andy, you get the first bite at the cherry. James Forrest, our most decorated player, is now up against... You ready?
Yep.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Fuck off. You bastards. We'll say about Nakamura, man. Just one of the most gifted players I've ever seen. Up there with Moravchik and all. You know, gift for God. He was also a gift for God, Nakamura. So privileged to have him at Celtic. And a guy that went on to play into his 40s, you know, so what a career he had. I actually seen footage, and everybody else probably seen it, where he's knocked the ball through the moving bus, right to the glass was removed for the bus windows, and he's knocked the ball far in the distance, and the buses drove by, and it's knocked it right through the two windows. Just amazing kind of gifted player. get the goals against Rangers, Manchester United, being at that game at Celtic Park against Man United, and the stadium just almost went into outer space. That's the way it was that night. That's what he could produce. Nakamura. This is a hard one. But I'll tell you something. I'm going to stick with Jamesy. I'm going to stick with Jamesy. Yep. And that is hard because Nakamura was an absolute gift. And I feel almost dirty saying this, but I'm going to. Jamesy keeps the jersey for me.
Kaiser, are you going to give Patrick potentially the most difficult decision he will ever have to make on this podcast? Or are you sticking with Jamesy Forrest?
Just for the consistency of giving Paddy a bad day,
Yes.
I'm definitely going with Nakamura.
Yes.
The kind of footage.
This is the drama we love. This is the drama we love.
Pinging that ball through the bus and that's the kind of thing they need to fake with AI nowadays. There's no player that's got that ability. I do feel filthy for saying that. I know James Forrest, legend, absolute legend, but so is Nakamura as well. Always remember he was playing against the Rotten Mob and the commentator says, "Oh, Nakamura, he just doesn't score enough goals for your open play." Bang! Straight past that mutant McGregor right into the goals. Oh, loved that. Right after the commentator said it as well. For me, yeah, sorry, Paddy, my man. They'll be lynching you off the boat. They'll have a plank. But yeah, mate, you're going to need to make a decision. I'm glad to put it on you.
This is an absolute shocker, and what a cliffhanger to end the podcast with. Patrick, you have the decision to make. Is it Nakamura or is it Jamesy Forrest? Who is getting that number 7 jersey for the 4 Leaf Clover podcast and why?
Oh, the memories, Scott. The memories of Nakamura. Honestly, the memories of that wee guy, and for a wee guy that was, the build of him, I remember meeting him. The first time we met him was outside Celtic Park. It must have been only a handful of weeks after he signed. And the wee guy standing there like a schoolboy. Do you know what I mean? There's literally nothing to this guy, and you're just thinking, a blast of air will just blow this guy over. But what a player. The ability, what a player. Both footed, but his left foot, unbelievable. I was fortunate enough to be at Old Trafford when he scored and absolutely silenced the place with one of the most unearned free kicks you'll ever see over the short side of the wall into the corner, and the United goalkeeper never even got moving. And then to better that with the one at Glasgow, just those two that goal, and the penalty save from Artur Boruc. I still say that Celtic Park, I never heard Celtic Park as loud when that goal went in, or when Boruc made that save. That was the loudest I've ever heard Celtic Park. Unbelievable ability for a player. Again, coming from Japan, there was concerns about him, but you only had to watch the guy play. You realise he was a master of the no look pass as well. He was looking one way and he can slot up. I remember him setting up Sean Maloney for a goal. He was actually looking out to the left and he slotted it through the inside right channel. It was unbelievable ability. But you know what? I'm just going to go with Jamesy for longevity and for what he's done. For what he's done, James Forrest James will go down as a legend of Celtic. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. Jamesy will show up in the record books, and he probably won't realise it until long after he's finished, the impact that he's made at Celtic. So I'm going with the impact that Jamesy has made over a longer period of time. Nakamura was fantastic, and we'll never ever be able to replace the memories that he left us with. But he just wasn't around long enough for to get legendary status. So I'm going to go with I'm going to go with
I've got some buttons for you for that one, bro. Shame this man. Get Shames in chat. Who this man?
Mate, that was the way you done that there was nasty. Folk are saying I'm bloody nasty, man. I'm sitting here going, Nakamura, he's got Nakamura.
You have to bring them in,
Oh, yeah.
Scott. You bring them in. You have to
That
bring
was
them in.
like an EastEnders
punch them.
cliffhanger there, Christ.
I'd make a good politician. I'd be a good politician.
I was waiting on Paddy turning the camera off and the mic off, just cutting it. Leave studio.
James A. Forrest is fucking swinging his wee dick tonight, isn't he? He's fucking loving it.
Oh, he's definitely doing a helicopter, isn't he?
He's doing a helicopter, right? James A. Forrest has got the Four Leaf Clover podcast.
And of course, he's doing a helicopter.
Jersey. And ladies and gentlemen, that was the very nerve-wracking
Last man standing.
So you're getting a love story.
Everybody with specs in the chat as well. Here, hold on. It's not just the glasses.
Some absolute pelters in the
Paddy.
chat tonight for me and Paddy. Fucking hell, dearie me. So James Forrest, like we said, has got the number 7 jersey, and this is the kind of company he deserves. He's in with now. So Danny McGrain will be feeding the ball to our James Forrest on that right-hand side. Andy will get it updated for us, and we will fire it up for you on Friday night's podcast. Wow, what a good laugh that was this evening. Lindsay.
You stop burning on with the tea, Lindsay.
Jesus Christ almighty, it's all happening, all right. Patrick, I was going to say thank you so much for your contribution tonight, but I don't know if I'm going to say that for you this evening, to be honest with you. Absolutely brilliant, mate. Thank you so much for joining us, Paddy.
Pleasure.
Andy, thank you so much as well. And our Kaiser, thank you so much. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for all your contributions this evening. We'll see you on Friday night. We will be back with the number 8 jersey for the Four Leaf Clover podcast. We don't know if our Jerry's going to be with us or our Michelle, but if not, our Kaiser will certainly be with us anyway. Thank you so much, everybody. That was absolutely brilliant crack tonight. Really enjoyed that, and we'll see you
On my section again.
Aye, thank you so much. Brilliant.
Yeah, comments. Remember,
All the
like
best.
and share legends.
See you on Friday night.
All right, guys. See you soon.
Hey, Will. Cheers.
Cheerio.
Someday you will find me.